Most people stop before they even start. They look at the odds stacked against them and quit in their mind before they take the first step. But the truth is this: the odds don't matter. Your past doesn't matter. Your excuses don't matter. What matters is how far you're willing to push when everything in you is screaming to stop. Life will test you. It will break you down. It will throw pain, failure, and fear in your face. And every time you have two choices: give in or defy the odds. Defying the odds isn't about talent. It's not about luck. It's about grit. It's about discipline. It's about doing the work nobody else wants to do. When nobody is watching, when nobody believes in you, you don't rise when it's easy. You rise when it's hell. You rise when you're tired, when you're beaten, when you're empty, but you keep going anyway. That's what defying the odds looks like. So, when people doubt you, let them. When you doubt yourself, fight through it. The odds are just numbers. They don't define you. You define you. And if you're willing to suffer, willing to push, willing to go beyond what feels possible, you will not just beat the odds. You will become the exception. The odds are nothing more than statistics. They're predictions made by people who don't know your heart, your fight, or your willingness to suffer. When someone says you only have a small chance, they're basing that on averages, on what most people are willing to endure. But you are not most people. The moment you accept that, the odds lose their power over you. They become just noise in the background. Numbers on a page that don't account for your determination. Too often, people let numbers control their destiny. They hear the odds and immediately shrink back. They convince themselves they're not capable before they've even tried. That mindset kills dreams faster than failure ever will. The odds only matter if you allow them to dictate your belief in yourself. If you choose to focus on your effort, your discipline, and your refusal to quit, then the odds become irrelevant. They cannot measure willpower. When you start acting from a place of relentless commitment, you realize the odds have no grip on you. They don't see the early mornings you drag yourself out of bed. They don't see the nights you spend grinding when no one is watching. They don't calculate the hunger you carry in your soul, the fire that keeps you moving forward long after others have stopped. That's why the odds fail. They can never measure what's inside of you. Every breakthrough in history came from someone who ignored the numbers. Every underdog who shocked the world did it by refusing to be limited by probabilities. They didn't care what people thought. They didn't care what the experts said. They just kept showing up day after day until the impossible bent to their will. And that's the truth. The odds don't define you. What you do in the face of those odds, that's what defines you. Pain, fear, and failure are not signs that you're on the wrong path. They are proof that you're on the right one. If the road you're walking feels easy, it's because you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Growth is uncomfortable. Progress hurts. Every time you feel pain rising in your body, every time fear creeps into your mind, every time failure knocks you down, that's life asking you a question. How bad do you want this? Most people run from these tests. They see pain as a signal to stop, fear as a barrier, and failure as a dead end. But those who rise above understand that these moments are opportunities. Pain is the teacher that forges resilience. Fear is the compass that points you toward what matters most. Failure is the let sharpens your edge for the next attempt. If you flip your perspective, what looks like punishment becomes the exact fuel you need to keep going. When pain hits, it strips away all pretense and shows you who you really are. It reveals whether you're someone who only talks about wanting it or someone willing to bleed for it. Fear exposes the gap between the person you are and the person you could become. Failure humbles you, forces you to adjust, and builds a foundation stronger than success ever could. Without these tests, you can't grow. Without them, you stay the same. The truth is, embracing pain, fear, and failure puts you in rare company. Most will avoid them their entire lives, choosing comfort over growth, safety over greatness. But when you lean into them, when you welcome the struggle instead of hiding from it, you unlock a level of strength and clarity that most people will never touch. These tests are not meant to break you. They're meant to build you into someone unrecognizable compared to you or before. Discipline and grit will always carry more weight than talent or luck. Talent may open the door, but without discipline, it won't keep you in the room. Luck may give you a head start, but without grit, you'll never cross the finish line. The people who make it to the top aren't the ones born with the best gifts. They're the ones who show up every single day, regardless of how they feel. They do the work when it's boring, when it's painful, when nobody else cares. That's the difference between a dreamer and a doer. Talent fades the moment pressure shows up. If all you rely on is your natural ability, the first wall you hit will crush you. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care about feelings or circumstances. Discipline says, this is the plan. This is the work. Do it. And grit takes that further. Grit is what keeps you moving when your body aches, your mind screams, and everything in you says to stop. Talent may give you speed, but grit gives you endurance. And endurance is what breaks the odds. Luck is unpredictable. You can't control if it lands in your favor. But discipline is fully in your hands. Every time you choose to stay consistent, to keep your word to yourself, you're stacking bricks toward a foundation that luck can't shake. Even if luck abandons you, your discipline ensures that you're still standing, still grinding, still in the fight. That's why discipline and grit aren't just habits. They're weapons. Weapons that allow you to outlast and outwork everyone else. The truth is, the world is full of talented people who never did anything with their gift. It's full of people who got lucky once, faded because they couldn't sustain it. But discipline and grit, they don't fade. They get stronger the more you feed them. They become part of your identity. And when that happens, you stop relying on chance and talent. You create your own path. That's why the odds crumble in front of the person who lives with relentless discipline and unshakable grit. Greatness is not built when life feels smooth and effortless. It's built in the trenches, in the late nights when your body is screaming for rest, and in the early mornings when your mind begs you to stay in bed. Comfort never produces champions. The struggle, the grind, the resistance, that's where greatness is forged. Every moment you keep pushing when it's hard, you're laying down bricks that form an unshakable foundation. Easy days don't test you, but hard days mold you into someone unstoppable. When everything is working in your favor, there's no demand to grow. Success feels natural, but it doesn't stretch you. It's the moments when nothing is going right, when you fail, when you stumble, when you want to walk away, that shape your true character. Those are the moments that separate the average from the exceptional. Greatness only comes when you lean into the fire and let the struggle refine you. Most people quit when things get tough because they believe struggle is a sign to stop. But the truth is, struggle is a signal you're heading in the right direction. It means you've left the shallow waters of comfort and entered the deep waters where transformation happens. If you can stay there, if you can keep going when it feels unbearable, you'll discover a strength inside you that was invisible in the easy times. The reality is, the hard moments are the filter. They separate those who want something from those who are truly committed. Anyone can show up when it's convenient. Few can show up when it hurts. But that's the cost of greatness. It's earned in sweat, in pain, and in relentless persistence through the hardest days. And if you embrace that truth, you'll realize that the very moments you want to avoid are the exact ones that will raise you to a level most people never reach. Defying the odds means refusing to live by the same rules as everyone else. Most people accept the limits that society, circumstances, or their own doubts place on them. They settle for what's realistic. They follow the script. And they stop reaching for more the moment it gets uncomfortable. But when you choose to defy the odds, you break away from that pattern. You stop living as the rule and start living as the exception. You become the person who proves that limitations are nothing but illusions. Being the exception doesn't come from luck. It comes from relentless persistence. It comes from showing up on the days you feel broken, from pushing forward when every voice around you says it's impossible. The odds are stacked against you because most people won't endure that kind of suffering. Most people won't sacrifice enough to change the course of their life. But when you decide that quitting is not an option, when you decide that nothing will stop you, you immediately separate yourself from the crowd. That's where exceptions are born. Every time you rise after failure, every time you push through pain, every time you walk straight into fear, you're rewriting the story. You're showing that the odds are just numbers, not destiny. You're proving that the power to overcome isn't reserved for someone else. It's in your hands. Being the exception means you don't need approval, you don't need permission, and you don't need the odds in your favor. You create your own momentum, your own outcome, your own victory. So defy the odds. Refuse to be another statistic. Refuse to let fear, pain, or failure define your limits. Stand tall in the face of everything designed to break you. And keep moving forward no matter what. Because when you do, you stop being part of the majority that settles. You become the rare one who proves that the impossible can be done. And that's the truth. The odds will always try to hold you back. But the exception will always rise. And that exception can be you.